The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Jesus came into the district of Judea and across the Jordan. Again, crowds gathered around him, and as was his custom, he again taught them. The Pharisees approached him and asked, "Is it lawful for a husband to divorce his wife?" They were testing him. He said to them in reply, "What did Moses command you?" They replied, "Moses permitted a husband to write a bill of divorce and dismiss her." But Jesus told them, "Because of the hardness of your hearts, he wrote you this commandment. But from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, no human being must separate." In the house of the disciples again questioned Jesus about this. He said to them, "Whoever divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery against her. And if she divorces her husband and marries another, she commits adultery." The Gospel of the Lord. In the first reading today from the letter of St. James, we are reminded about the virtues of patience, loyalty, and honesty. Be patient with one another so that we don't complain too much about each other. Be loyal with one another and with God so that we can stay in relationships. And be honest with one another so that we can speak the truth and there's no need of swearing. These three honorable virtues could also be applied to the gospel reading we just heard today when Jesus was asked by the Pharisees about his opinion on marriage and divorce. Jesus' opinion was clear: man and woman to be joined together, to become one flesh with one another. And what God has joined together, no human being must separate. Based on these teachings of Jesus, the Catholic Church has always maintained a solid principle of no divorce when a Catholic marriage becomes valid, with the purpose of the union of the soul, which is shown through mutual love, and the union of the body, which is shown through the act of reproduction. The term divorce as a separation of a couple from a valid marriage does not exist in the Catholic Church, because the sacrament of matrimony creates an unbreakable vows, an unbreakable bond between a man and a woman in love, and no one could break that bond because love is originated from God Himself. A Catholic marriage, however, could be declared invalid because the marriage itself was performed without sufficient conditions and freedom to fulfill the two main purposes of marriage, which are the unions of the body and the union of the soul. Now, in a society that values personal freedom and tends to live according to passion rather than to be attached to commitments and responsibilities, Catholic marriage seems to go against the flow of the age. However, if we treat marriage just as a temporary game of passion or as a burden of responsibilities, we fall into the temptation of following only bodily desires. Then we are treating one another no more than something disposable, because no commitment means no binding responsibility. The Catholic marriage bond, therefore, has to be built upon the virtues of patience, loyalty, and honesty, because patience helps to overcome differences, loyalty helps to maintain relationships, and honesty helps to create a trustworthy family environment. That is why God's grace is always needed, so that married couples could be able to stay committed and be patient, loyal, and honest with one another. May God, who has begun a good work in us, also bring it to fruitful completion. Amen.